I just couldn't get the likeness. And her face shifts. She has a very mobile and expressive face. And I think that, I think she probably had expressions going on, a lot of them. And I couldn't pin anyone down, or even the outline of her head. So I found it very, very difficult. It was worrying. I mean, I was so worried once I left here after the sitting and left the door open of my studio, see? And it was awful, because I couldn't get it to look like her. And then one day, as she was sitting there, and I said, please, just keep very, very, very still. And it caught, you see? Like it caught. When you catch something, like the pencil, or in this case the stick of pigment, caught her face, and it started knitting it. It started unraveling it, you see. And it went and went and went, and I held my breath because it might suddenly go off. I held my breath for a long time until I got it. And I got it. I got it. And I pinned it down, you see. And I had her sitting in a different position at first. She'd brought a little book of hers along, and she sat there holding this book. So we didn't start off with this as it ended up. I didn't like it. It wasn't like herself. And then I had this settee over there, which was bought in Habitat in the 60s, and it has all those soft cushions in leather. And I'd been using it to sit my ostrich women on, and piling them up where my ostrich women lay on them with their arms open, and so they were being used a lot. And I said, Germaine, why don't you sit there? It's very low. She has very long legs. They had to bend quite a lot. So that put her in a sort of almost a crouching position. And so she actually fitted into this canvas. And she fitted it so that she filled it almost all up, which was what I was doing with my ostriches. And so there she was, just right. Right at the beginning, she was always going to wear this dress, which was, this dress was made by Jean Muir, who just died. And I think it was one of the first proper dresses, she says, that Germaine bought. And it was also homage to Jean Muir, who was such a wonderful designer. And it was a good colour. It didn't have a pattern, which would have been more difficult. And so it was great to do that. And she brought her own shoes, you see. She had her own comfortable shoes that she liked, and she'd worn them very often. They were falling apart, and that was nice because it opened out and had sort of like mouths in them. And I liked that. And I didn't want to use any symbols or any such stuff. The closest I came to any kind of sexual symbol were the little shoes with the little mouth in. But that is just silly. And the thought came after the event anyway, as it always does. You do something and then you make the most of it by talking about it. But in fact, it all comes out from copying. Mainly that there's a little hole there. Unconscious, I didn't intend any such thing. And I intended to show her hands as working hands because they were full of callus from the gardening, and I liked that. But otherwise, it wasn't intended to show any symbolic thing at all. But people can read anything they like into it, that's okay. Picture anymore. She was listening to Wagner, because she bought Wagner's Ring, we listened to all of it. and she brought the libretto too. And so I think she was sort of listening to the music, and that's how I got her. Which is okay. We had about 60 hours. She used to come in the afternoon from Cambridge, and from her garden she used to bring me vegetables and things from her garden. I liked her hands because she has gardener's hands, quite rough, working hands. And she'd bring baskets with things, and we'd sit about 3 hours. She's a very sexual, and she's a very powerful woman with enormous presence, you see, and full of vitality. And that comes across, I hope. It comes across in her. I don't know whether I got it.